Hi there. Thanks for joining me back as we read through Esther and our 28 days of love in the Bible. I'm Amy with MomsToolbox.com, and I am so excited to get to read with you today. Uh, yeah, things are getting heavy in Esther, so I hope that you were with us yesterday and you heard Esther 3. Now we're moving into 4. But before we jump in, I'd love for you to think of three things that you're thankful for. As I've said before, I love to start my Bible reading in the right mindset, and I think that it helps whenever I go into it with a thankful heart. So I'm going to give you a minute to come up with three things that you're thankful for. I will share you a couple of mine. This morning, I dropped my kids off at school, and they go to school about 45 minutes from our house, so it's quite a hike. And I went to a little small local coffee shop and sat outside very far away from other people and had a cappuccino, and I did my Bible reading then. And I looked around and I saw green trees and I saw people that were walking with happy dogs. And I loved that God had provided this little oasis for them and for me, right in the middle of Houston. You could kind of hear the rushing of the highway next to me, but I could just look around, and I was thankful for the nice weather that enables us to sit outside. I was thankful for this pause in my drive that I could take the time and do that. And I was thankful just for the nature that he had provided me. So just think about three things that you're thankful for today. All right, you guys ready? Now that you've got this thankful heart, let's move into Esther chapter 4. Now, when Mordecai found out all that was done, Mordecai tore his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes and went out into the middle of the city and wailed loudly and bitterly. He came even before the king's gate, for no one is allowed inside the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. In every province, wherever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. Esther's maidens and her eunuchs came and told her this, and the queen was exceedingly grieved. She sent clothing to Mordecai to replace his sackcloth, but he didn't receive it. Then Esther called for Hathach, one of the king's eunuchs, whom he had appointed to attend to her, and commanded him to go to Mordecai to find out what this was and why it was. So Hathach went out to Mordecai to the city square, which was before the king's gate. Mordecai told him of all that had happened to him and the exact sum of money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasuries for the destruction of the Jews. He also gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given out in Susa to destroy them, to show it to Esther, to declare it to her, and to urge her to go into the king, to make supplication to him, and to make request before him for her people. Hathach came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Then Esther spoke to Hathach and gave him a message to Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces know that whoever, whether man or woman, whoever comes to the king into the inner court without being called, there is one law for him, and that he be put to death, except those to whom the king might hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. I have not been called to come into the king these 30 days. Well, they told Esther's words to Mordecai. Then Mordecai asked them to return this answer to Esther. Don't think to yourself that you will escape in the king's house any more than all the Jews. For if you remain silent now, then relief and deliverance will come to the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. Who knows if you haven't come to this kingdom for such a time as this? Then Esther asked them to answer Mordecai. Go, gather together all the Jews who are present in Susa and fast for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night and day. I and my maidens will also fast the same way. Then I will go into the king, which is against the law, and if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him. So things are getting pretty sticky. This is one of the reasons why I think I love Esther, because I think that it points out that perhaps she was there for that reason. And then I'm reminded of Romans 8:28 that says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him and who have been called according to his purpose. And if I can just share my thoughts, I love your thoughts in the comments on this. I don't believe this is saying that everything happens for a reason. I do believe what is being said here is that things can be used by God. And we're going to learn more about what happens with Esther. But I like to think in my life that where has God put me and what circumstances has he put me in and what can I do with that to glorify him and live out his plan? So if you're up for it, I would love your thoughts on that in the comments. I'm so grateful that you're listening along, and I hope that you are enjoying my reading of Esther 4. Um, you can check out the full reading schedule for the full 28 days because we will be exploring a couple other books of the Bible as well on momstoolbox.com. Or, of course, subscribe here and join me every day, and I will read to you on YouTube. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys again. Bye.